Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in this world. My name is Mitch Taco Bell. I'm your host with Tall Tales with Taco. And tonight we're going to talk all things OV-10 Bronco. And if you guys don't know what the OV-10 Bronco looks like, it looks like this bad boy right here. Look at that twin engine monster, two-man cockpit, hold four guys in the back, carry rockets, machine gun pods, the whole nine yards. Just an awesome airplane. And here tonight to share with us is my good friend, Kevin Mechler. Kevin also flies at the same airline that I do. We're both captains out there, although I think he flies the Airbus. I think he speaks French. Anyway, Kevin is just a dear old friend, and I asked him if he would come onto the show to share some of his experiences from back in the first Gulf War when he flew the OV-10. And I tell you what, this is going to be awesome. If you guys are a big fan of the OV-10 Bronco like I am, then stand by. Without further ado, Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Mechler. How are you, brother?
I'm hanging in there, man. Enjoying life. Enjoying life.
Man, we're 6 feet above ground. Nobody's shooting at us. Life is good, right?
That's right. Keep it simple, baby.
Damn Skippy, man. I appreciate you coming on tonight. And to remind folks, this is taped. Unfortunately, this is not live recording, but it seems live. You can still put questions and comments, and we will get back to you, and we'll answer whatever cool questions you have. But
that way it won't put me on the spot.
That's right. That's right.
I can research.
Yeah, right now there's a couple buddies going, "Hey, man, what's the max airspeed of the OV-10 Bronco? What's the max carry weight?" Yeah. But, so go back in time. When did you go through flight school, Kevin?
I was in flight school. I got winged in 89, May of 89.
89.
So
wow.
Yeah.
And when did you go through the basic school? Here's a big one.
I was in Fox Company, 1986.
Fox, were you Naval Academy?
No, I was an Oklahoma boy. Went to school at the University of Oklahoma.
I thought Fox Company was all Naval Academy.
Well, yes, a lot of Fox Company is Naval Academy, and I've got a different appreciation than most people in Naval Academy boys.
Yeah, some really good, some just like
I'm telling you, if I couldn't party with them, let's just go that route,
Yeah.
And the PT I could hold with them.
Right.
But the party side of the house, no, they were on their own. But I tell you, it was nice to see the camaraderie those guys had and still have with each other. I have a good buddy of mine, Joel Lautrip, who's in the OV-10 with me. And Lad, his kids are Academy. They live and bleed that stuff. And I don't know, they're a good group of guys, and we had fun at Fox Company.
Well, so you didn't go through the Academy at Fox Company. For those out there, I was hotel. It goes in alphabetical or numerical.
Alphabetical order.
So I was hotel of 88. You were
Fox 86.
Fox 86. So you're a couple years ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
And Fox Company was always notorious. It was always the Naval Academy guys.
Right.
And then hotel was all the PLC guys. Did you go through PLC as well?
I was a PLCer.
No,
but I graduated in 4.5 years. So I had to come back for a second semester or for my final semester to get all my, you can only get so many classes so often.
Yeah.
So I had to go 4.5 years. And so I graduated in December, and then I waited. They couldn't fit me in until the Fox class.
What about OCS? Did you go through Camp Upshur?
I did Upshur, man.
No way. All right. So what is your favorite Upshur story? For those that don't know, Camp Upshur, you would drive literally an hour through the woods of the backside of Quantico, and you think that Upshur is literally hundreds of miles away from civilization, when in fact, if you were to go through the back of Camp Upshur, over a fence, and walk about 3 miles, you would have hit the McDonald's there in Manassas. Oh my God. I loved it. I loved Upshur.
Plus the fact the only way you got there was in the back of a cattle car, right?
Yep, true.
The good old cattle cars. That just made Upshur, the Quonset huts.
Yes.
And our platoon commanders and our staff platoon commanders, they weren't into the trash can things. They never had a trash can rolling down the squad bay. But you're in Quantico, Virginia in the summertime in a squad bay, and your air conditioning is those big old stand-up 3-foot fans blowing from one end of the squad bay to the other. And, I guess the good, fun memories would be a couple of them. First of all, here you are, a nugget candidate. Yeah. And initially you start off with your hair long, you're still in your civvies, and you go through, the 28, 36 hours of NDOC, and then you get your hair shaved, right down to zero. Yeah. And I remember you lay your head on that pillow and your hair is sticking to the pillow. It's just, but it's
like sandpaper. It's right. Like sandpaper. Yeah, it sounds like sandpaper grating as you move your head around.
And but you're so exhausted. And that's a fun memory. Just the Gomer Pyle Quonset hut layout, and trying to make a turd look pretty. Those things, they didn't have dust in them. We kept them clean, but they were just
okay. All right. I hadn't thought about this in years. You had fire watch every hour. Right. You have to get up, and you were fire watch.
That's right.
And so you would assign each squad, each fire team. Okay, Kevin, you got it from 7 to 9. Mitch, you got it from 9 to 10. Bill, you got it from 10 to 11. And every hour you go wake somebody up. And so you had bare minimum sleep anyway. Already, yeah. I mean, you literally got up at 3:30 or 4 in the morning for PT. Well, one night during fire watch, this guy candidate Sparks, got up and he got dressed, and the other fire watch down at the other end of the building thought that he was getting dressed for his rotation as fire watch. So it didn't strike him as strange because you had fire watch at each end of the building. So maybe Sparks was going to be down on my end of the building. So Sparks gets dressed and he goes out the side door of the hatch, and he goes out into the street and he starts screaming orders. Platoon, right face, forward, march. And he starts marching his imaginary platoon to chow. And he gets this imaginary platoon to chow, and they ended up taking Sparks away in a straitjacket. And what's funny is the next day, the platoon sergeant comes in and goes, well, as some of you may know, Candidate Sparks, well, he sort of just sparked out. So he sparked out, and he was gone. He was good riddance. He was gone. And,
that's beautiful.
Everyone went and stole all his stuff, got his extra shoe shine stuff.
Right. That's beautiful.
Okay. Upshur was awesome. So now you're at Upshur. Now go fast forward. You graduate. You go to the basic school, the big suck, and then you go to flight school. Did you go Pensacola? Or did you go to Corpus?
Pensacola.
You did the whole thing Pensacola, huh?
Did the NDOC, right? So we all do NDOC in Pensacola. And then went up to Whiting Field.
Right.
Went up to Whiting Field and did the T-34 Charlie. I'm sorry?
Yeah, the course rules are about that thick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You look back. Matter of fact, I was going through my old Foot Locker and going through trash and came through all the, the piles and all the stuff we used to fly with, and just made me think about all those days. But, I did a T-34 there in Whiting Field. Mm-hmm. And then we selected, and this was, so you have, I'm a good Marine. I'll work hard and I'll do the best that I can at anything I do. But when it comes to sitting down in front of a book and taking a test, I was a C student. If it went for shop, I'd be a D and an F student, so I don't test well, and the stress the test put me under, et cetera, et cetera. So and I probably failed a couple of those fire hose tests that they gave you, right?
Yeah.
And so it came to selection. You had maritime, so you could go C-130 for the Marine Corps. You go helos.
Props, jets, helos.
Props, jets, and helos. And my on wing goes, Kevin, what did you, or lieutenant probably at the time,
Yeah.
Lieutenant, what did you want to do before this day, this moment in your life? Select that. And so I selected jets, and I got them.
Right.
Knowing specifically that we have the F-18, there was the EA6s and the A6s.
Dude, back then you had F-18, A4, F4.
Yeah.
You still had F4s back then.
Yeah.
You had the A6, EA6B Harrier.
Right.
Did I miss
and the
one?
OV-10.
And the OV-10. So
and the OV-10. And the OV-10 was the strike pipeline.
Right.
The reason why is because the mission that you can end up flying and the speed in which you're flying, plus the mission in which you're doing, a lot of helo guys or new helo guys, not fleet helo transition guys, but new helo guys were just not doing well. And so they wanted you in that 250 knot window instead of that 60 knot window.
Yeah.
And so I knew the OV-10 was in the jet pipeline. I was thinking of either the Harrier or the OV-10 when I selected.
Really?
And so I got jets and went up to Meridian, Mississippi, and did the T2 there and the TA4. And went to the boat twice, actually 3 times. They invited me back for a 3rd time. I got to go to the boat twice in the A4.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah. They loved me, man. I said, Kevin, you got to do that again. please show us that you can do it better.
You know, they're not even going to the boat anymore.
No way.
Yeah, dude, I just had this guy on. He's Kevin Mechler. He's an instructor down in Corpus.
Okay.
And he showed up in his T6 and we're sitting there talking about stuff. They do like as much as you want. They do maybe 25 or 50 hours of virtual. They have goggles and you can sit and you can sit there and touch and play inside the cockpit. You can fly the airplane and look around at Google Earth. They do all of this stuff before they even touch the airplane. You remember how we'd have to go find a hangar queen,
right?
A T-34 sitting in a hangar somewhere and then practice touch, know where everything was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now they do it. It's all virtual. Well, They don't even go to the boat.
Because of technology?
No, because they're just not going to the boat. And they go, well, you know, they can learn how to do it when they're at the squadron.
Wow.
FCOPs and all that. So I don't even think they're going to the boat. And I may be wrong, but I seem to remember thinking, wow, they don't have to go to the boat? Holy crap, man. That's pretty cool for them.
You know, and I don't, you know, with technology today, just like, you know, with us in commercial aviation, you know, and training these new guys. I mean, what's the needle ball? You know, what's a slip indicator? You know, they have no idea what general aviation was back in the day. They're all used to glass cockpits. It's crazy.
Oh, I was teaching. I don't know if you guys have this, but on our class, we have an AOA indicator. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have an AOA.
Oh, ours, no, we just have a VSI. We don't have an AOA.
All right, we have an AOA, actual AOA on our PFD. Mm-hmm. Well, when you drop flaps 15, 30, or 40, you get this green band that pops up. And if the needle is in the middle of the green band, you're at the appropriate airspeed for the configuration of the airplane. If you're north of it, you're too slow. And if you're south, you're too fast. So they don't understand pitch power, but you sit there and tell them, if you hold the pitch, that's going to set your airspeed and throw the power in. Pitch power is going to keep you level and then descend, pull the power back and keep the same airspeed with the trim. And if you keep that needle right in the center of the band, they got it. So teaching them nowadays is night and day from what you and I did, especially you remember had that little plastic thing they would give you at AI that had the needles. And so you would walk over your makeshift VORs and you would spin the needle trying to show how you go out on a radial, and in your room you had yarn drawn across. It was like, that's a 270 radial outbound of Corpus Christi. And you would hit Corpus Christi VOR, you'd spin the needle and you go, okay, I'm on the tail and I'm flying outbound and the tail is coming up. Yeah. They don't
Right?
know what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah. What was it? Tails rise, heads fall.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
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 Butt up.
Tails
Yeah.
rise. Hell, man, they don't even know when I sit there and throw out references to Airplane. Ever
That's
seen a grown
beautiful.
man naked? You ever been inside a Turkish prison? I had this captain. He was about 50. I'm 57, and I'm sitting there throwing those out. And I go, looking good, Billy Ray. And he goes, feeling good, Lewis.
He got it.
Yeah, he got it, right? And then, I go, man, I picked the wrong week. Quit sniffing glue. And the guy goes, yeah, man, shit's about to hit the fan. And the FO goes, hey, timeout. Could you stop the sim? So I stopped the sim, and he goes, hey, what are you two speaking? What code are you two speaking in? Like, wait a minute, how old are you? And he goes, 28. I go, God, there's the problem right there. Listen, son, when you go home, your only homework is to go watch Airplane, Trading Places, European Vacation, Caddyshack. Oh, my God. I mean, all the movies that we watched as on debt, right? We're on debt somewhere. All right, so I detract. So you're in flight school, you select jets, and you get OV-10s out of that selection?
So I go to the jet pipeline, and again, academically, I'm a monkey. I got good monkey skills. I can fly the damn airplane. Just don't ask me questions when I'm flying. Don't talk to me. Let me fly my airplane, or don't make me take a test. It was just that it was the time constraint of aviation knowledge. You have to know so much in so little time, right? Yeah. And give me an extra week. Give me something. But it didn't happen. So I was always struggling academically. But my except for the boat. Actually, I have an excuse for that one too, but you don't want to hear about that one. We always have an excuse, right? So, but no, my flying grades were good, and that balanced me out on the academic side. Thank God that was the majority of a grade is aviation or flying. But I had the 18 and the Harrier was really what was available for us at the time. A good buddy of mine, Plunkett, he got the last F4. He was the number one. He was dumb people hang around smart people. Plunkett was a smart kid.
F4, baby.
And, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So Plunkett took he was the last student trained pilot to go into the F4. So, but we had, at my graduation from Meridian, the Marines had the F-18 and the Harrier, and our senior Marine here's a story, long story short. The senior, obviously I got to know the senior Marine quite well. I got to know the CO quite well, and I even got on first name basis with the Commodore.
Wow.
So they saw my attitude, they saw my desire, they saw my grades, and I said, guys, talking with my senior Marine who was an OV-10 pilot, and he was telling me what the OV-10 did. I went, dude, I'm all over that. That's what I want to do. I did the F4 or the A4, and we did air to air and ACM and all that stuff. And low levels just rocked my socks.
Yeah.
And I said, I get the high stuff, and that's great, but I really like being down low, and I want to take care of my Marines. So that was my choosing of the OV-10. I wanted to be as close to the Marines as I could be. Right. And that's where we were. And
so it was based off of three things, right? Based off your grades, needs of the Marine Corps, and what you want.
Right.
But you got OV-10s. I mean,
I got what I wanted.
Honestly, I would have, if OV-10 was around, I would have definitely tried for OV-10. But I mean, in my case, there was one jet, one prop, and then the rest were helos.
Oh, me and a Bob Glendenning, we were, and there's one other guy I think out in BMO 1 or BMO 3 out on the West Coast, but we were the last three OV-10 guys from the training command.
Yeah. Now, Bill McReynolds, do you know Bronco?
Mac, yep.
Yeah, Mac. So I think he went OV-10s, and then OV-10s went away, and he went Harriers.
Yeah, I believe that's what it was. I knew it was one of them, but he went up. Did he make like XO or OPSO or something like that, or CO? But,
no, I don't know. I don't think he ever did it. He flies for FedEx now.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I saw that photo of you two. or maybe that was Ladd and Mac. But yeah, Mac gets around. I hadn't seen him in years, but he was one of my instructors when I went to the OV-10. He instructed me in a number of my training flights.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, I like Mac. We had a lot of guys didn't want to be there when they heard that I wanted to be there. Going, you all right, dude? This is my bread and butter right here. I love this airplane. And
I think it's a gorgeous airplane. The fact that
it's beautiful.
you've got a twin turboprop, high wing stall airplane that you could, if you went down to the Philippines, you could buy a bunch of furniture and throw it in the back.
Right.
You could still carry some stuff back.
Yeah.
Or you could put 4 recon dudes in there to go
that
drop
was
them out on some low level somewhere and let them do
That was a ball.
Was it low altitude?
Low level inserts.
Yeah.
Low level insert. And the profile is 200 feet off the ground. We come in 200 feet off the ground over the drop point. We pop up 60 degrees.
Yeah.
And there's a certain airspeed, I think it's like 180 that they're supposed to be getting out. And you're in, you get your rudder vibrator, rudder shaker. You get your rudder shakers as you're doing a rudder roll, or you're on the rudder to get out of that stall, and they're dropping out the back. When the last man's out, you just recover off doing whatever we called it back then.
Well, let me ask you this. Look at this picture. You've got the cone back there underneath the tail. What you're
Drops
looking
off.
at,
it comes off.
Is you're looking at OV-10 Delta, which was painted up like Marine Corps colors.
Okay.
But so when you did one of those with the recon guys, that tail section was off, right? It didn't stay on.
Correct. That whole cone drops off.
And are there seats back there? What's back?
It is. What's that thin particle board?
Yeah.
That's just a thin padding going straight to the cockpit or to the electrical panel behind the AO.
So it could hold 2 guys abreast and 4 total.
Oh, no. They're butthole and belly button. They are straddling each other. Last guy goes in, spreads his speed apart. Next guy bumps up against him. Basically, belly, chest to parachute.
Right.
And you get 4 jumpers. And we would even have a safety guy. I thought it was 4 jumpers and a safety. So we had 5 guys back there. The last guy's hanging his feet out the back.
Wow.
And so the safety rider, for training, the safety rider was to let us know if we had a hung jumper, and also to bring in the lines, the static lines. They were all on static lines.
Oh, okay.
For training.
So they had a safety belt going across that opening.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting there flying along with their feet dangling out the back.
Taking off, yeah.
How cool is that?
Those guys loved it. Just like the gentleman we saw the other day. He goes, "Oh yeah, man, that was the best thing I've ever done." So
well, that was Vietnam. I mean, these things were made in '68, right?
At least, or they were introduced probably in '68. I bet.
Yeah.
So
no, they were around for a long time.
They've been around. We took them out. In '94 was the last squadron.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So I knew going to the OV-10, and this is what my senior Marine told me. He said, was I still lieutenant, captain? I think. No, I think I was still lieutenant.
No, you're first lieutenant.
Yeah, he goes, this is a dead end street. And I was at that point of going, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Going back to what my on wing told me at selection of jets is, what is it that you came here for?
Yeah.
And at that point, I came there for the OV-10, and that's where I was going. And no regret.
Now, and where were you based out of?
Camp Pendleton.
West
Coast.
Okay.
Pendleton. Yeah. And the squadron, I was a junior lieutenant, and then we had Billy Bob, and
so here's a picture of you guys on Det and QB.
Yeah.
How many guys were in the squadron? How many planes did you have?
Like 16, 18, I think. I'm not sure the exact.
So we had guys?
No airplanes.
Oh, wow.
Well, we were broken into 3 debts. We had Det Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. There was always a det in Okinawa. Mm-hmm. And so we had manning for 2 parts of our detachment. So we're a 3 detachment squadron. So you're full squadron, but you're in 2 different geographical locations. Yeah. So a third of you, so that QB point. Those were our detachment. We did QB at that point, and that was right after Desert Storm. So I come home from Desert Storm in April, and I go off to QB in August. Wow. So I guess 40, 50 pilots maybe, mm-hmm. But crew, probably more than that. I really don't. We were never in one place at one time.
Now, did you guys have two pilots, or did you have one pilot? And
our back seat was made up of two different cadres. One of them, originally, we had a grunt in the back who has gone to AO school, so he's our aerial observer.
Is that what Mike McCullum did, right?
Yes, exactly. So he's an aerial observer, and they are grunts with grunt experience. They know what's going on the ground, and they go to AO school, aerial observer school, and they learn how to do forward air control from an airplane. And so they get their FAC A, they get their ground FAC A training to know how to do FAC missions in the back of the airplane. Very little avionics or aviation knowledge at the time.
Right.
Then so when I came to the squadron, we had NFOs, naval flight officers. And actually we called them, we had AOs. I think we did call them NFOs. But they were backseater trained, and they came to us so they were NFO trained, Pensacola trained,
right?
And they went to AO school. So
and they came to AO school. Any weapon?
Oh, both of them handled weapon systems.
So they handled weapon systems. And
we didn't. This is the OV-10.
Right.
I had my toggle, my master switch, and a couple of release toggles on it, and I controlled the weapons, and we didn't have what was there is what you had. You didn't, I either went flying with rockets, or I went flying with either 2.75 inch rockets, or I went for sure that combat photo with our airplane, or we had the 5-inch Zunis. So right behind me are the 5-inch Zunis. And back on
right here, you could see the Zunis. You had 4 of them.
4 Zunis. Yeah, those are just pods on that one.
Right.
But we had the Zunis and the 2.75 inch HEs. So those were our marking weapons. We marked targets with that, and also the Sidewinder. We put the Sidewinder that York's holding on to there for air-to-air protection, obviously. And when we first went off to Desert Storm, we were armed with Sidewinders.
Really?
Yeah, but once we had air supremacy, we just dropped the Sidewinders and put fuel tanks on the wings.
Well, okay, look at the bottom below you. What are those 4 things sticking out there?
Those are the 5-inch Zunis.
And it looks like a Gatling gun right directly under the belly.
That there is a 2.75 inch rocket pod.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you look right behind me on that sponson, those 2 black holes.
Yeah.
That's where our machine guns went. Oh. And we didn't carry them. We didn't have them during Desert Storm, mainly because of range and load. But it was a M60 machine gun.
Right.
And it's just such a small caliber. It just, it basically BBs come through the sky.
Sure.
And it just wasn't an accurate weapon system. I'm sure it was really nice in Vietnam, but we're not strafing. We're backing. And, that's mainly our primary mission there, and not doing forward air control. We did some, close in air support, CAS.
Yeah.
But most of our missions we went airborne were for forward air control and tactical air control.
So that when the war started, how long had you been over in, where were you when that started? How did you guys get, where did you start when you took off when the war started?
When we left Camp Pendleton?
Yeah.
We called, the Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
Okay. About the same time period that movie came out. And so in 90, the summer of August 90, Saddam Hussein invades Kuwait, right?
Right.
And I'm a nugget lieutenant, you know, I'm working on, matter of fact, where are my numbers? I think I had 166 hours in the OV-10 Bronco.
No way.
Yeah. So
you just barely know how to get the gear up.
Right. So I have 166 hours before I do my first combat mission. So back off about another 90 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a nugget. I'm doing 100 level, you know, FAM and formation flying right now. So basic, you know, introduction to the OV-10. Obviously, I'm a winged aviator. I've done all these things in other airplanes. You know, I had 500 plus hours, probably 600 plus hours before I got to the OV-10 and other aircraft. So I had experience.
Talking about going into war, getting shot at, SAMs, the whole nine yards.
Yeah, as a nugget with 166 hours.
Yeah.
And it was a trip. And I'll tell you, let's see, before I get there. So we get to Camp Pendleton, and I'm grounded for the first year. I passed out with atrial fib. That's just another whole story, but it was a single episode atrial fibrillation that I passed out in public. And so the Air Force knew about it. And thus I was at Air Ground Support, AGOS, in Hurlburt Field. Uh-huh. And I was max stressed out for exams and ended up passing out. And so the Air Force guys told me, dude, you'd never fly again if you were in the Air Force. But NATOPS, Naval Aviation, Marine Corps Aviation, I said, all right, let's see how it goes. So I was grounded for a year. I've always been in good, strong physical shape. It was a fluke thing that we kind of came up between stress, lack of sleep, and caffeine.
Yeah.
So that combination, it went over the top. So I just, okay, let's take care of me. Let's get this taken care of. No recurrent. I was wearing my heart monitor once a month. And so I got my wings back, went to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base to Task 22 for OV-10 training. The Marine Corps was using the Air Force for training at this stage of the game. And so I got my wings, went back. I'm doing my, and I'd have to look at the months on when it was. But somewhere within the next few months, me and my instructor are walking into the ready room, walking into maintenance to turn in our airplane after a flight. And he goes, go upstairs. You got a AOM. Going, all right.
All
officer meeting. Something happened. And we go up there. We snuck in the back door, and we walk in. As we look at the door, it says secret, no foreign. That secret, no foreign sign on the door, right?
Yeah.
And we're looking at each other going, we sneak into the back door. We're sitting on the table.
The balloon went up, baby. The balloon went up.
And my CO's going, we're going out now. We're going to get these airplanes launched. You guys go pack your bags, get everything ready. I mean, his fangs, he was ready. Uh-huh. And I'm sitting in the back going, dude, I have another 100 hours in this airplane. I'm not ready for this.
Don't worry, you'll be the coffee boy over in Kuwait. Don't worry,
man. So again, we had 3 deaths, right? So we had guys in Okinawa. We had 2 deaths back home. One of the other deaths was already working on going to Okinawa. So this spare debt, and it was, we were really informal on who was going to when and where. The Marine Corps. Yeah. We can't plan, 6 months ahead. Manpower wise, excuse me. So the CO chose his debt, and I guess we took 8 airplanes and 8 crew, and we left Camp Pendleton, had a C-130 chase plane, and hopscotch across the U.S. By the time they got to Atlanta, Georgia, where a reserve squadron was, I think there was an airplane in Atlanta. We left an airplane somewhere in Dallas. and there was another airplane somewhere else. C-130 is going back and forth with parts and all this stuff. We finally get over to our East Coast sister squadron, BMO-3, in New River, and get everybody back in New River. And then from there, so we're thinking, for most airplanes, this is, the afternoon. Right? We should have left in the morning and gotten there by, the end of that night. Well, by the end of the week, we had all our airplanes or something, in a number of days.
Would absolutely positively have to get there next week. Call us.
Yeah, call the Marine Corps, right? And then from there, and the airplanes are now. I'm sorry.
Did they put you on ships and ship you
over? No, we flew north to Goose Bay.
Oh wow!
Over to Iceland?
From Greenland or Iceland?
Greenland. Hit both of those. Yep. Hit those. Went into Ireland. And I think they regrouped in Ireland, and I think everything went. I think we pretty much stayed together. Maybe in one maintenance issue going across the pond up there. One guy. So the OV-10, our AC system is a scupper vents, right? That's how you get air in the airplane. A heater is you pull your bleed off the engines, you get heat coming in the engine or into the cockpit. That's all we had. And I think it was Rain Man, who is the backseater. I think it was him, or maybe he's in their airplane. They couldn't control the heat coming into the cockpit. Their feet were literally burning up. They were so hot.
In a poopy suit.
Well, they're in a poopy suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have this heat coming in there. You have your scupper vents trying to keep you cool. Because, you're up north, so that's not a problem getting cool. But you have this burning hot air coming in on your feet in your nice leather boots, right?
Right.
So they were stuck. We got a destination to go to, and that's it, right? And the ship, the C-130s are our navigation. We're following them. Wow. We have a TACAN on board.
Right.
That's all we had for navigation. Actually, I think we had a portable, the old fuzzbusters, right?
Yeah.
Back then, the old
radar detector.
Radar detectors for cars. We called them fuzzbusters.
Yeah.
We got about the same size, an old, probably about yay big, with north-south or north and west grid coordinates. It was your lat long counting. And it may have given you a heading. We gave the backseaters this little window, and I think you put in point to point, and it wasn't an approved navigation system, but it's all that we had.
Yeah.
So these
like
guys
a Loran.
Like a Loran, exactly. Yeah. And so these guys are in the back working that out, and then you're following the C-130, and the weather is what the weather is, up north. And
you're flying up at altitude. You got the mask on, and
we don't have altitude in the OV-10. Yeah, you're at 18,000, maybe 22. I think was that's as high as we got.
So it's unpressurized. So you've got
you got your mask on. Yeah, unpressurized, and so we're used to altitude today. So, and they finally made it to Europe, and then dropped down into King Abdul Air Base in Saudi Arabia, which was Jebel, Saudi Arabia, right? That's it.
Is that it right there?
That is it. King Abdul Air Base. I'm standing up on a soccer stadium. This was a soccer stadium with a little private airstrip in front of it. I should have I have one picture of the flight line where we are. But it was maybe 3,000 foot of runway. Actually, maybe about 5,000 foot of runway. And then the rest of it was a good old MATSIG, Marine Aviation Support Group. And the matting.
Oh,
matting was half of our runway.
Like the old World War II stuff. Right. Wow.
So that was our home. But so they finally made it there in August. And so August, September through November. So they survived the heat, right? Mm-hmm. And the skipper says, all right, we don't know how long we're going to go out there. I need all the guys instructing me, the skipper goes, I need you guys to stay there and train our pilots. Send me Skimmer. So here's this nugget lieutenant. And I'm sure I didn't make a lot of friends when the CEO said, send us Skimmer. So you sent Skimmer and Billy Bob.
And how did you get Skimmer? How did you get that call sign? Come on.
Well, I shared with you how I did in flight school, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much how I got Skimmer. Just, I got by. I kept my wheels up, but I love being down low.
Okay.
But yeah, that was pretty much how I got the call sign Skimmer. And so
what'd you do? How'd you get over there?
See, 747.
747. You flew from Pendleton over to.
Yeah, we reported up to Air Force Base there in the LA Basin.
March Air Force
Base. Yeah. And my girlfriend Cheryl, and my sister was living out in LA, and my niece and nephew showed up there. I got to be with them and hug them for a little bit before I had to send them off. And we got in line and did all our P's and Q's and, crossing the T's and dotting the I's, and loaded up in the 747. And it was so you had Billy Bob and me, the two junior guys in the squadron. And then
is that
Kevin
Mechler? Right there?
Oh, actually, that's York. That's my backseater. He was already there.
Okay.
And he was our safety guy, so he went. And then we had an ops guy, Major dadgummit. It might come to me. And Kevin Trepp. Right. Trepp was a buddy of mine. And so the four of us went there to join the rest of our squadron. Yeah, that's me and my beautiful. That's back when I was young looking.
Stud. Where's your gun, man? Where's your gun?
It was in there. It was in that little compartment. I had it right there on my chest.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So
we flew in there. We flew in there in the December. I had Thanksgiving with my family. Came back to Pendleton, and we shipped out early December.
Wow.
So I'm there in the wintertime, right? What better place to be in the middle of winter is in Saudi Arabia. Not quite Southern California, but, it wasn't bad temperature-wise.
Yeah, temperature-wise, it's not bad.
Yeah, and these guys were just, there's no way you guys are coming out here without going through a summer.
Yeah.
Again, we don't know how long we're going to be there, right? This guy has his 1 million-man army, and he's invaded Kuwait, and they're the top of everything. It's going to be a bloodbath, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're planning a worst case scenario. And so we're there, and, we're trying to figure out the rotations once the war starts and how you're going to bring new guys and ship guys back. So there's a lot of planning going on, at the 9-month, 6-month, 3-month windows, and nothing happened. So I guess the air war started mid-January, and the ground war started mid-February and ended mid-February.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, I'd have to look at those dates, but it was just, the air war lasted longer than anything else. And we definitely prepped the battlefield on the aviation side of the house.
So how many air combat missions did you get when you were there?
I came back, I had to look at this. I knew you were going to ask me these questions. Let me make my notes. I was that football player. When I went to my 10-year reunion, all my high school buddies are talking about, do you remember Skimmer or Kevin or Mech? And this football play and that football play, you were so slow, you were running as fast as you could. They all kind of said, how do you guys remember these things? I was a football player. I was so zoned into the game. The next day, it was a dump.
Well, I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. So
right. So, anyways, I had, and there's another funny story about my Distinguished Flying Cross. When the CO in Okinawa is reading to me, and I'm thinking to myself, no, I didn't do that. Who made that up? I didn't. No, I seriously could not remember that when he was reading to me. I came back to my, little platoon commander notebooks.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that was my diary. I had to go back to my platoon commander notebook and look at those days and go, wow, I did do that stuff. I forgot. Well, anyways, I did 27 combat sorties is what we did there in the 100-hour war.
So the President of the United States takes great pleasure in presenting the Distinguished Flying Cross to First Lieutenant Kevin G. Mechler, United States Marine Corps, for heroism while participating in an aerial flight as a pilot with Marine Observation TWO VMO-2 Marine Aircraft Group 13 Forward, 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing, 1st Marine Expeditionary Force. Boy, that's a lot.
Isn't it?
Fleet Marine Force Pacific on 22 February of 1991. First Lieutenant Mechler conducted 2 flights totaling 8.1 hours, which I imagine sitting on an ejection seat for probably 4 hours a hop.
Yeah.
That was a long day. Did you have piss tubes?
Yes.
Okay.
And
that's
piddle pack.
Still, piddle pack. That's still long.
Yeah.
During the flight, he simultaneously supported 2 companies from 2nd Light Armored Infantry Battalion by engaging riveted.
Well, anyways, Marine
yeah,
word.
enemy tanks. Yeah, enemy tanks and troops in trenches with close air support and adjusting artillery fire during the process of controlling a section of Marine AV-8B Harriers. First Lieutenant Mechler successfully avoided 2 surface-to-air missiles, SA-6s. He remained in the battle, and despite the constant threat of anti-aircraft artillery, surface-to-air missiles, First Lieutenant Mechler controlled a section of F-18 Hornets on an enemy trench line, which resulted in the destruction of an enemy tank. Another flight later that evening, using forward-looking infrared radar, located 12 vehicles despite severe smoke from fire trenches and burning oil wells. Again, First Lieutenant Mechler exposed himself to the enemy and anti-aircraft threat to control attack aircraft by his superior airmanship, inspiring courage and total devotion to duty in the face of hazardous flying conditions. First Lieutenant Mechler reflected great credit upon himself and upheld the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service. Kevin, that is just an awesome write-up. Now, take us back to that day.
Well, before I get to that day, you heard all that, right? A lot of big words, a lot of stuff going on. And here I am in the ready room. And, the colonel, this colonel, he was an OV-10 guy with some history. And he was a Marines colonel. Uh-huh. And he got himself in trouble a couple of times. So he's just we would have followed him anywhere.
Yeah.
And again, I think by this time, I think I was still a lieutenant. I was a lieutenant for a long stinking time. And so here I am in this nice little ready room, and little. And they call me up, and I'm going, oh shit, what did I do now? Attention orders. So I lock it up at attention. So I'm kind of stressed. What's going on here? Mm-hmm. And they're reading this thing, like you said, the President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Distinguished Flying Cross. And I'm thinking, I didn't know about awards. I didn't know, we talked about guys during the war, guys are talking about strike air medals,
right.
And so many missions, these type of missions, you do this, you get points. And so I knew about strike air medals. I didn't know about individual air medals, and I didn't know what the hell a DFC was, the Distinguished Flying Cross.
Yeah.
And I'm going, okay. And he's reading this thing. And again, in my head, I'm going, did I do all that?
You get the right guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't think I had my diary with me in Okinawa. I had to wait till I got back home to open it up and look at it.
Yeah.
So I was really kind of confused during this reading this mission. But sure enough, I went back and looked at my notes, and then it comes back to you. When you start reading about it, okay, I remember. Yeah, I remember that. And it was a crazy, crazy morning. We have the bottom of Kuwait, and we were mainly running east and west down the base where our Marines were. Marines were right here. And then up here, and we had the crotch of Kuwait. And so right between us and our international of the Army, we're up in here, going up to the north and the west. There was, the 22nd, did the ground war already start? I think this may have been at the beginning of the ground war.
Right.
And we're moving with the troops, the Marines, and we get a call. Hey, we got troops in contact. And so we point our nose into harm's way. We go into the battle line and beyond the battle line. And the battle lines were moving so that forward edge, the FIBA, was moving like rapid fire. I mean, we came back and found out that the FIBA was now, up here. But the brief that we had, the FIBA was behind us. And by the time we landed, it was just unbelievable, the movement that our troops were doing. And all these enemies, in most cases, after this mission, come back and the next day or next period of time, all these Iraqi something guard, Imperial Guard, they're surrendering. Well, they weren't surrendering yet. And so we had Marines we were talking to on the ground. Yort, a backseater, he's doing the ground talking and I'm doing the air talking. That's normally how we split it up. And so
we're talking. You can't hear. You're not hearing any of the ground stuff.
You had the volume down. You knew something was going on back there, but it wasn't your focus. My focus was air and flying the airplane.
Right.
So here I am coming into known AAA and SAM threats. And so in a prop, we countersink our props, right? Mm-hmm. To do that, the sound kind of to the ground gets deflected and they can't say, well, there's the OV-10 because they can hear it. With you countering your props, it's a form of deception.
Sort of like camouflage.
Camouflaging, right, in the air. So I'm sitting here, running my throttles left and right, going up, going down, nobody's going to lock on my ass. So I'm popping up and popping down and moving back and forth, and York's doing all of his stuff in the back.
And do you have raw gear?
That was another fuzzbuster. Yeah, it was. I mean, we had
you had a fuzzbuster up on the dashboard, right?
Yeah, and that just and that wasn't going off yet. And matter of fact, the beautiful thing at this stage of the game, again, we had air supremacy. Yeah, and the Iraqis knew the second they turned on anything electric, our EA6s were going to be on top of them in a heartbeat. So
yeah, but when you get a surface to air missile SA6 or 7, I mean that's portable manned.
Right. Yeah, and they can move quick out of that.
Yeah.
But they're definitely not hanging around. So that hadn't happened yet. So I'm working with the facts. Yort's working with the infantry. Yort sees the tank. I never see the tank. There is so much debris on the ground, so much blown up and everything everywhere. I'm going, Yort, I have no idea where you're looking. I cannot see it. I need you to talk beyond. And so Yort goes, all right, boom, boom, do this, left, right, up, down, fire. So I fired, and I got pretty darn close to the tank. And the fighters above us, and I'm talking to, said, and maybe Yort even took over at this time because he saw where the smoke was when the enemy was. So Yort's talking to them, and they said, we see the smoke, we see the tank, boom, and they shack it. And they take out the tank. And obviously our grunts are very excited about that. And they're just working around this. I believe this was around a power facility. So there was, whoever's at the power facilities has cover, and everybody else just has concealment. So there was a firefight going on, and we helped with that. Somewhere in that time zone, 2 SA6s went flying up in the air. And we're down low. Oh, yeah. We saw the smoke. We saw the smoke, and it was off at a distance, and it was more going up to the fighters than, but again, somebody has them in their pockets, and somebody's shooting them. So obviously you're concerned. Right. But we saw those two go up. And, I'm eyeballing, and they're definitely not locking on me. And then they just kind of disappear. So they never locked on any of us. And so we had a section of 18s and a section of Harriers. And working with them both during this, and again, all the details are foggy. But we worked with the 18s in their Harriers. And I think, as this thing said, the 18s got that shack on the tank. And whatever else we did at that moment in time, in that 4-hour flight, dealing with the enemies and cleaning up. I don't have a big recollection of all the details beyond that, and then work our way back home.
Now, wait a minute. I want to clarify something. I remember hearing years ago a story about a young Kevin Mechler that pulled out so low he took out the top of a sand berm.
No.
Yeah.
Who told you that?
Yeah. A dune that you pulled out and you actually.
Oh, no. There was one night
So it's coming out. Come on, man.
I wasn't
Spill
that,
the beans.
I didn't get
Spill
that.
the beans.
There was one. We were doing FLIR work, right?
Right.
As a matter of fact, it might have been that night when we found the convoy at night. We're looking for the convoy, and York's in the back on the FLIR. And I have a FLIR screen, but York controls it. He controls the location and all that with his little whiz wheel or his coolie hat. And so I'm flying the airplane. I got my radial altimeter. We're at 1,000 feet, 500 feet, 300 feet, whatever we're down low. And as we're moving along there, I'm looking at I lost my scan, right? My scan broke down. And I'm looking down there. I'm going, man, those things are looking awfully big. I look at my radial altimeter. However low we were, that's classified. Thank God I don't remember. But yeah, we were pretty darn low. And I just, I pulled the nose up. I gingerly pulled it out. I'm sure York knew too. But I just pulled up and started.
You can get a whoop, whoop, pull up, whoop, whoop.
We didn't have no whoop whoops on our airplane. No, no whoop whoops on our airplane.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a
oops.
That was, we all have those moments in aviation that, the no shit in life. And
did you get the hair go up on the back of your neck, the little fire that burns up the back?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Breaking out in a cold sweat. Yeah. Thanking the Lord, say, okay, God, thank you for the wake up call. That was close. Well, let me do that again.
And that was nighttime.
Oh, that was a night mission. Yeah. We're down low at night.
And you guys didn't have the nice MVGs like we have now.
No, I had a clear lens on my head.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's just you and your radial altimeter.
It's amazing what you guys were able to accomplish.
Oh man. Yeah.
Or the guys in Vietnam, what they were able to to do. Studs.
Yeah. The air medal before this. So here now I'm a rusty combat guy because I've already had my previous Harry mission was my first mission. And that was where I got the individual air medal. We get a assigned task from DASC, I guess, whoever sent it down, the chain of command and all that. So we had a known target. And the EA6s weren't with us, but as we're driving up north, they task everybody, all the hires in the chain of command and the radio transmissioning and moving us up all the big net of communication. As we're going up, we're getting our mission. We take off with our mission. We're working as we're flying up. We're about an hour north or an hour south, 100 miles south of the border, which was about an hour in the OV-10. No, it was about a 30-minute drive. But we get up there, and our mission, there was an observation post about 20, 30, 40 miles north of our Marines on the border. And they were taking pot shots and shooting the frog, right? Whatever that frog was, the
CH-46.
How do they call it? No, this was the. Here, I'll read the. This was on 19 January, and and one thing I don't like about these awards is they're awarded to me, so it says me.
Yeah.
And as we all know, it's never me. It's never. It's us. And if it wasn't for York, York was my backseater, and I was flying the damn airplane, doing everything I could to fly the airplane. He was doing everything else that I couldn't do.
Right.
So it was a we thing, big time. And York, what a character. We were both Oklahoma boys. We were both Episcopalian. Oh, actually, I was an Episcopalian. He was a Catholic. So I said, being Oklahoma boys, you being a Catholic, me being Episcopalian, we have to have all the ground covered somehow. And we were definitely blessed. We had another group of guys. They were the rocket magnets. And they were getting shot at all the stinking time, but they were out at night. And I was York and I go, man, I'm glad we're flying in the daytime. Because I'm the new guy, and I would fly early morning dark to dawn, or I'd fly evening to dark. But because I was a new guy, and we had to make a decision on a schedule and day schedule and night schedule.
Right.
So we had the night schedule guys who slept during the day. We had the night tent, and then we had the day tent. And so that's how it was set up. Me being one of the younger guys, let's avoid a lot of the hassle here. or avoid. Let's just try to keep everything in our favor. So York and I were on that day window, and thus this night mission that we have. We're sitting on the bench. You have my picture, back there lounging on the ready bench. So here we are sitting on the ready bench. This might have been that day for all I know. So we're sitting on the ready bench in the afternoon, evening, and just waiting. And of course, it's on the back side, right? You're looking at your watch and you're thinking, okay, we just got another hour or so, we're out of here. And then we get our mission and, launched. And that was that night mission, the DFC. So on the air metal side, the frogs is what they were called, the free rocket over ground missiles, the old frogs that were being sent all over the place. So this thing reads, a frog, let's see, First Lieutenant Mechler was launched in an alert aircraft to conduct a forward air control mission to engage an Iraqi observation post, which was controlling and adjusting free rocketed over ground frog missiles and artillery fire onto coalition ground forces. That's where our Marines were. The air crew was prepared to control a Marine A6, A6 intruder using the OV-10 laser designator when the system failure rendered the laser inoperative. And it really wasn't a system failure.
Right.
The ground smoke was so dense that the laser so we're up here at
couple thousand
18. Oh no, we're high because of the threats down there. Mm-hmm. The AAA or the SAM threats, we had SA-8s, etc. We had some high altitude SA down there. So we were up above all those threats, thinking we'll take care of this mission from altitude. And good Marine, right? You have your FLIR, you have your forward-looking air, infrared radar, our laser. We have our laser beam, and we have that mission set up as number one. Our backup mission was a 60-degree dive dialed into the old iron sight, right?
Right.
So,
but it's nighttime. You can't see anything.
No, this is daytime. This is a day mission.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So this isn't the that night mission was on the
back end of your day mission.
Yeah.
So, sure.
Well, this is another day. So we did a mission in the morning, and we're on the ready bench, going out in the afternoon. So I think I may have confused that one. So the laser was inoperative. This failure forced them to press the attack into the known surface of surface air missiles and anti-aircraft artillery threat for a white phosphorus marking rocket. So we had our 5-inch Willie Pete's white phosphorus, right? Those big 4 ones right there. So we had those on board. The rockets hit the target, right? I shacked it, baby. I mean, how often, when you need to hit the target, you hit the target.
Right.
And so I shacked it, hit the target, and the intruder was clear to attack the target, which neutralized the enemy's observation post.
So A6 came in behind you.
A6 came in behind us. So he's over there. We're looking at him. We set up for the laser. Sparkle on, no sparkle. Right. We switch everything. Sparkle on, no sparkle. All right, York, plan B. So again, this is my first mission. You talking about pucker factor, right? I'm thinking, oh, cool. We'll be up here and we'll just, as our laser down there, we're above harm's way. We're not on the field yet, right? We're sitting on the bench going, yay, team. Well, it was time to go out. Time for Skimmer to come in here and do his job. Oh man, I tell you, the pucker factor. I think most of us listening to this understand what the pucker factor is. When you're so tense, you're pooping out diamonds. I was so tense when I was going, dude, I've got to take care of all sorts of bowels right now. I'm done. I'm going back home. I thought I was going to, oh yeah. I mean, there's a whole lot of God in this too. And I'm thinking, I thought I was going to lose all control of my body. And so the adrenaline kicks in, right? Your whole body just, wow. So adrenaline kicks in and we roll in. And, as you on an iron sight, you have a little light dancing around the sight. You set up your 60 mil. We're diving. We're parking the nose down there, and you have your release altitudes, maybe somewhere around 9,000 feet. I really don't remember.
Did you have AAA come in?
If they did, we didn't see it. I wasn't looking at AAA. At this stage of the game, I'm locked on a target. We're just throwing them out, shoot at us. But, I mean, it's at this point, you're focused on the target. York didn't tell me. Nobody said we were getting shot at, so nobody saw anything. So we're diving down to this known threat. And I hit my release point, release it, pull off, and look back, and boom, there it is, right? Beautiful. That was the coolest thing about attack aviation is, coming in, dropping an ordnance and pulling off, getting your 4Gs in the OV-10, pulling out of there and looking back and be able to see, your target.
Yeah.
And right in the parking lot of this, basically this enemy location was the border patrol location, like where trucks come through, truck yard into the borders.
Yeah.
So this was basically their
border
crossing, customs.
Right.
Yeah, border facility. And so the smoke hit right in the target, right in the middle. And, when we go through strike training and we're in training in the OV-10, we're shooting rockets. We do one at a time. Come in, pull, look around, make corrections and drop one at a time. So I'm in this mindset of one at a time. This A6 coming, we can watch it. Goes, yeah, I got the smoke, and bombs away. 12 Mark 82s just drop.
How much is Mark 82? Is that 500?
That's your 500 pounder.
I mean, they carried more bombs. One airplane carried more bombs than like a squadron of B-17s in World War II, right?
Yeah. And so they just, and that was another thing. War is quiet in the OV-10 in aviation.
Right.
You may, especially if you're shooting rockets, or a gun, you'll hear it rattling in the back, but you don't hear anything on the ground. And here goes these 12 Mark 82s, and the A6 they have all the electric whiz bang stuff, and they shacked it in this whole grid square, however, quarter of a mile maybe for this big old parking lot for big old trucks, etc., disappeared. And it was just crazy. So we're out of here. We turned south and started heading for the border. But that was another crazy mission. But
so they must have feared seeing an OV-10 come flying.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That was another good something that we learned from Vietnam is they wouldn't mess with the OV-10 because they knew the OV-10 was never alone. Right.
Yeah. When he was flying F-18s or Harriers or strike guys or somebody behind you.
Somebody's behind me or over me watching me.
Right.
And so if they started shooting at us, they know that they were having incoming. So that was a nice thing to have. And again, with the air supremacy that we had, they knew if they were going to lock onto anything, they better make sure they're going to have a good hit. Yeah. Or, because they're going to have to leave it on long enough to where they're going to identify themselves. And then, those people up there, the EA6s and A6s, they are, and whoever else we had up there and, in the heavens, we're going to take care of the mission.
Did you guys have anybody hit? I mean, did you did you take any hits?
There was another mission we were doing with Anglico. So Anglico's down there and we saw them. So the war is moving forward very rapidly and people are starting to surrender, right? We saw an Anglico unit. York went through the book, found their frequency, and called them up on the radio. And hey, you guys, we see you. What's going on? Do you need any help? We can bring you whatever you need. And they go, really, right now, everybody is surrendering. So I think we got it under control. I said, all right, well, we'll just hang around if you need anything. We're here. So so they're on the south side of this, what York identified. And again, as a pilot, it's kind of like, commercial aviation. I don't get the joy as we're coming into land. I'm working at landing. When you're flying down in enemy territory, you're looking at a whole lot of things and you really can't focus on anything. Well, York's job is to focus on the mission, down on the ground. And he, again, with the advantage of having these grunts back here with all this infantry experience, He goes, oh, that's probably about a regiment size. Well, it's all right. So whatever. It's a regiment size of Iraqis. So, we have a company of Anglico guys.
So company's what, 100, 150?
Well, yeah, 100 max, and, so they're in their, whatever they BMPs, whatever they travel in, armored up vehicles for Desert Storm, or the canvas backed Humvees, which is what we had. But I said, we're thinking, well, that's kind of like, David and Goliath here. Here's our David and there's Goliath. What's Goliath going to do? Well, they were all just throwing up their hands. So we stayed on station. We went out on the north side, the back side of it, and we saw AAA coming up at us. And Yort said, oh, yeah, look, there's a panel truck. And this panel truck, somebody was shooting out of the back of that thing with AAA. So little triple, and I had pictures of the AAA units, or maybe they were towing it, but it was a small AAA piece shooting up at us. And I swear, nothing hit us. But between my engine and the canopy, I saw a tracer.
Right.
I mean, it was that
close.
There's
4 rounds in between tracers, probably.
Right. So, but nothing hit us. And again, the good Lord watching over us. And I came back around and put my nose on him. I was John Wayne at this stage of the game, and shot a Zuni at him and hit short, but we just blew him off at that point and pulled back. And the Anglico guys, well, these guys are all surrendering. You want us to give you guys credit for the surrender? What does that mean? No, you guys take it. We don't need it. Doesn't do us any good to have credit on whether we kill somebody or not, so it was kind of an interesting comment for him to make. So we signed out of those guys and left, and, we're just flying around and just waiting for something to pop up.
As fast as the war moved back then, and communication wasn't not like it is now.
Right.
Did it ever sit in the back of your mind about blue on blue incidents? And
oh man,
you going to shoot the right guys? Or our guys, or that happened.
That happened.
Not from you all, but
no,
definitely.
No, I had that issue. I had an incident. Another convoy, right? So at the beginning of the air war, there was that Kafji battle. If anybody remembers, it's the first real battle that we had with the Iraqis. They came down from the border into Kafji, and we had a big oil tank, the fuel tank there, and they blew up the fuel tank, and there was ground to ground combat and flat fighting back and forth, and a convoy departed. We're coming up in that area, and so they give us on the radio, hey, this just happened. Look for a convoy. So we're down there looking for a convoy.
Convoy of good guys or bad guys?
We're looking for a convoy of bad guys.
Right.
So they send us, I have a section of fighters, Marine fighters up there. And it probably was a division, four F-18s, I think. And we see this convoy, and we're going through DAS. Enemy, friendly or enemy? Who is it? And the odd thing is that they weren't leaving Kafji. They were going to Kafji. And They said that I'm looking for a convoy that is leaving Kafji going west or northwest. And I find a convoy that's going the opposite or other direction. And I'm going, this is what I got. Tell us what to do. They go, you guys are cleared hot. That is an enemy convoy. Back of my neck. Just said, Yort, I don't feel good about this. And he goes, what you got to do? So we, again, threats everywhere, right? We died down there about 4,000, 5,000 feet, 4,000 feet.
Yeah.
Start seeing those V's on the hood.
Oh, God.
Pull back up. And I go, guys. And that's what I told them, because we were ready to go hot. You guys see the convoy we got? We just need clearance. And those guys, they were thank you. Like nobody's business. Going, man, could you imagine? We were cleared hot to go do that, but the good Lord just I went down there and they were friendly. They had that big old V on the front of their trucks.
Boy, that'd be a horrible.
I mean, man,
your legality wise, you would have been cleared. It would have been one of those ugly messes. But still, you got to live with the fact that blue on blue, you took out, you know, some allies who are friendlies. Yeah, Marines or soldiers. You know, years ago we had all these Marines from. They were in the squadron together in World War II. It was the beginning of VMGR 234, my C-130 squadron. Okay. And in World War II, they flew F-4s. In Korea, they flew F-4s, and then it transitioned to 119s and whatever, DC-6s. Well, in Korea, these guys were sitting there flying along, and they see a column of troops marching north. And so he gets on the radio and goes, "Hey, do we have any friendlies up here?" And they go, "No, everybody north of your position are enemy. Take them out." So he goes, "All right." And same thing. He said to his wingman, he goes, "Let's go down and let's just kind of check them out." And so as they came down, he saw a couple people jump into the ditches, but the guys were all waving at him. And as he got down, he literally is looking at them, and they're all American GIs. Wow. And they're waving at him. Yeah. And he goes, "Holy crap." And so they pulled off and they went up and they went to a town, and he got his map out and he goes, "Listen, I'm over Incheon or whatever. There's a whole column of soldiers moving north and they're waving at us." And they go, "No, they're all enemies." And he goes, "I'm telling you, they're US. Well, fast forward all these years. Those guys, one of them was at a VFW somewhere, and they were at the bar drinking. And this dude starts telling the story about how he became a POW, and they were captured by the North Koreans. And they literally were marching north, and they saw the F-4U Corsairs, and there were two pilots that were shot down that were part of the column moving. Right. And the guys were yelling, "Whatever you do, don't run. They will shoot. March, keep marching, wave." And they did. And the Koreans all jumped in the trench thinking they were about to get zapped. And because they did that, the guys didn't shoot them, unload with the, 650 cal. Yeah. They would have taken out everybody. Oh, sure. But he goes, "Holy crap, man, that was me. That was me." And the dude, they gave each other a big hug. The guy kissed him, is like, "Thank you for not killing me, man. I survived the war, but thank you for not killing me." Right? Man, that's one of those things. At that moment, you go, man, as you're a POW, you're thinking, man, I wish they would have unloaded on us. I wouldn't be in this prison camp right now. Yeah. I have a good friend of mine, and we've talked about him, Bill Thomas, who's he is a POW, Hanoi Hilton, and he has Alzheimer's now. And he's doing okay. I just heard from his wife the other day. We keep in touch about how everything's going. And but you just look at the life that he's lived post-Vietnam, post being a POW. And, he has 2 boys and a daughter, lovely wife, grandkids that wouldn't have been there, if he didn't come back and overcome the struggles and the challenges. And he wouldn't have been the man that he was, because he was phenomenal in the OV-10 community post-Vietnam. Right. And even in the infantry side of the house, because he was an AO. So he had the infantry background, but he made a difference in so many people's lives, not giving up post-POW life. And we know a couple of them, a lot of those guys that we know in that same experience. I had a great uncle, Bataan Death March. Wow. Survived. Yeah, survived the Death March. He survived 2 sinkings of his ships going up to Japan. They got sunk twice, and ended up and served as a POW in Japan. And I don't recall if it's Hanoi also, but he came home and lived a normal-ish life as we can live. Obviously, most of those guys have those dreams, have those nightmares, have those moments. And a good old Gunny Sugg, right? Gunny Sugg in his battles that he fights on a daily basis.
man, my hat's off to them. They said they don't give up. You know, what a beautiful story of life, you know, of the hell that they've been through. And they don't give up. They come back home. Yeah.
It's like Leo Thorson, who passed away from cancer a few years ago. 6 years POW in Vietnam, got the Medal of Honor for his actions prior to getting shot down in the F-105. And I said, Leo, you had a couple years to think about it. What was the first thing you said to your wife when you got back? And he goes, yeah, I had a lot of time to think about that. He goes, I got off the airplane, gave her a big hug. He said, hey, baby, sorry I didn't call you. I was a little tied up. And to you and I, that's pretty funny, you know.
That's good.
She doesn't get it, but you and I get it. I mean, those guys were tied up and tortured, but that's pretty freaking funny. I don't care.
That is, no, that's hilarious. I would not have been that creative. That's beautiful. Yeah. But you know, you look at this, they don't give up. No, you know, we got some amazing circles that we're in.
Yeah.
You know, it's just amazing of the people that we've come across. You know, the Metroplex Coordinating Council, and some of those guys just,
you know, General Kerry that comes every month, comes to our meeting.
95 years old.
I think he's older than that.
Well, he said 95 the other day.
Did he? Okay,
he may have forgotten. Yeah.
Silver Star, Chosin Reservoir. When they were getting overrun, the enemy, the North Koreans were breaching, or the Chinese were breaching a section of the airfield, and he had been promoted up to, they kind of, guys were getting killed left and right. So they moved him up to intel at the battalion, and he ended up looking around the tent, grabbing every swinging dick he could, cases of hand grenades. And he runs out there, and they were just doing nothing but throwing hand grenades at the guys and stopping the Chinese from coming in. It was all with hand grenades. And he got the Silver Star for that incident. And then after he recovered from his wounds at the hospital, he goes, I'd like to put him to be an aviator, please. and he came back and flew SPADs or A1D SPADs, I think, in Korea, and then went on to Vietnam.
He went back to Korea as a pilot?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He went back to Korea as a pilot.
Wow.
But, yeah, he flew SPADs, and then he did the evacuation of Saigon. What an incredible gentleman.
Yeah.
Marine officer.
He is. I've had the opportunity. I drove him home one day, and he is just one of those most down-to-earth men I've ever met. Humbled beyond belief.
And, you know, his grandson joined the Marines. And Cole went into the Marines, was infantry, and then he became a pilot, but he got a Navy slot. So he's a Navy ensign out there right now.
That's awesome.
And he's finishing up flight school probably here very shortly. But
that's awesome.
You and I run around some really incredible circles with some fantastic people. It's kind of like when I married Teresa, and she goes, all these people honk at me. I'm like, what? She goes, I'm driving down the road. They honk at me and wave. And I'm like, why do you think they do that? She said, well, that's because you've got that little round Marine Corps sticker. Did they have a sticker on the back of the car? She goes, you know, come think of it. They did. Yeah. I said, yeah, it's the largest, smallest gun club in the world, baby. Right. I said, somebody looked at you and they go, oh, you're a Marine spouse, or you're maybe a Marine yourself. Right. So they just give you a honk and a salute. I do that every time I pass one.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see Army of One, but damn it, you see Marine Corps stickers, and it's pretty tough.
Damn straight. Yeah.
You know, it's funny when I get on the airplane and I do my PA to the folks. I'm like, hey, you know, as a retired Marine, I always like to see a show of hands. Do I have any Marines on board? And if nobody raises their hand right away, I go, you know, because it's free liquor for any Marines on my airplane. I guarantee you, when you say that, all these hands go up, and I go, all right, I spotted the Army guy. There's the Air Force dude. But no, if I have a couple Marines, I tell the flight attendants, hey, listen, watch what I do, because whoever raises their hand, those are your go-to guys. They're your trusted assets, right? Because they'll help you out no matter what. If you have a disturbance, go back and get those guys. But then, you know, I always thank the Marines. I thank Army, everybody. Then I go, okay, now here's the winning lotto ticket question. Do we have any Coast Guard on board? Because they're like pink unicorns. You never see them until you need them. Right. And then when you need them, they're there. Right. So do we have any Coast Guard? You know, and in my flight the other day, I had an old man. He was a Coast Guard guy. I'm like, yes. And I'm like, I'm buying a lotto ticket as soon as I get off the airplane because I had you on my airplane. And then I thank the spouses, and then we have Vietnam vets like my dad. Thank them. You guys are the fabric of freedom, makes this a great country. Plane starts erupting, claps, and the FO's like, what are you doing back there? And I said, just do my welcome aboard, PA.
Yep.
But
that's all.
It's fun, man.
I'm glad you do that.
Yeah, I can't believe I've been sitting here shooting the bull with you for an hour and a half, but I can't
really?
thank you enough. Yeah, it's been an hour and 25 minutes. Do you have your favorite saved round? Do you have a flying story? It could be the scariest incident. Maybe you had an engine fail on you, or do you have anything like that flying the OV-10? Any of your favorite stories?
I think I've told you. Told him in combat that was really the icing on the cake. I have been blessed in my aviation career. The OV-10 was good to me. When we shut down an engine for training, to try to start it back up, it didn't start back up, so we came back home with the single engine, that we shut off on our own. Fuel transfer problems, formation flying, we have that 1,000-foot split. I was a little low, he was a little high. You kind of, there's been those moments where, it's that split second or that moment. And
did you guys ever dogfight in the OV-10?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh man, a fun mission was dogfighting against we'd do dissimilar, and we go against the Hueys. So we go out to 29 Palms. They're down there doing CAC stuff, and we're working out different missions. And so we did a dissimilar ACM against a Huey and the door gunners.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of that mountain, but just north of the airport. We're sitting there hiding behind the mountain with each other. I'm sitting there going one way, trying to come up behind or come over the top. There's just so many fun things. I very seldom went above 10,000 feet in the OV-10.
Right.
We were just always low. The memories of the guys flying with, he's high altitude coming down. He said, what am I doing up here? I need to come back down.
That's a 90 degree bank on there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The hairiest thing that's happened to me is commercial aviation on a brake failure on landing. And that was, so you think about the landing gear on the MD-80.
Mm-hmm.
You have the strut, about 8 to 10 inches. You have the wheels, probably maybe about 10 to 12 inches between the two wheels, right? You have the hydraulic lines in there. You have one strut on one side, one strut on the other side, you get a nose wheel. We had brake failure. The captain was landing, and in the MD-80, I'm looking inside to check that we have spoilers, we have 2 reversers, and I come back up and we're drifting off the runway. And I immediately check the controls, and he has the right controls in, and we're still drifting off the runway. We're both got, what is going on? We go off the runway, going into Denver, right? You're already going fast, landing Denver.
Right.
We're going off the runway. And what do you do? You're adjusting, and it's doing its own thing. And we start drifting back onto the runway. And we go across the runway, and it's slowing down, obviously. We're in reverser, all this stuff. So it starts slowing down. We get to a full stop. We get all the passengers off on buses. We say, crew, stay in the airplane. You are not getting off this airplane. We're all stand together. We'll do what we need to do. And making the phone calls, doing all this stuff. They tow us back to the ramp. And the crash fire rescue guys come back, and the maintenance guys come up, and we gather all the information. What happened? As we land at 140, 150 knots, and we start drifting off the runway, because of snow and ice, Denver has elevated edge lights. They're on sticks, come up about maybe 8, 15, 20, 18 inches. I don't know. Well, our struts are down here. Our airplane took a strut, the wheels on both sides. That elevated light came right between those two wheels, broke the hydraulic line, took the pressure off of that brake, and allowed the airplane to come back the other direction.
Well, what caused it to drift off in the first place?
Master cylinder wasn't functioning properly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Well, that's a God thing. You take 130,000 pound airplane, send it 140 knots, down the runway.
Yeah.
And you tell me I couldn't put a elevated edge lighting light between my wheels to save my life.
But you only took out one. That's all you needed, right?
That was all I needed. That's all we got. That one round, man. Yeah. So, but my career has been blessed. I had a ball in the Marine Corps. I look back. I left the Marine Corps. You can relate to it, I would assume. I left the Marine Corps with my cup full.
Yeah.
People said, well, are you going to miss flying? I said, I have done everything I can legally do in an airplane, and my takeoffs equal my landings. I'm ready to do straight and level for a while.
You went to the basic school as an instructor, right?
I did.
Yeah, what did you teach there? Because I know Eric Van Weesendonk.
Right.
Weeze was one of your students. He saw your name and he goes, oh my God, Captain Mechler was the best instructor ever.
I went there kicking and screaming. Again, I'm not an academic dude. TBS was academia to the max, right? You're doing a master's degree. Basically, you're doing the education of a master's degree in 6 months is what they used to compare it to. So, fire hose. Well, I just got married in Camp Pendleton, OV-10 squadron starting to get broke up. We're fapping out everywhere. We're getting sent out everywhere to do different jobs. Joel Lautrup, lad, he just took the bullet for going to the infantry as a ground FAC. He goes,
you should be blessed.
Well, not as an aviator. I mean, you want to fly airplanes. You don't want to go to a non-flying billet, right? That's
right. But you've already had back-to-back flying billets at this point.
Well, I mean, I was on our first mission. But anyhow, he had a ball. He loved being with the Marines. It was definitely a lot different than the aviation.
Yeah.
And I found this out. So he got that. Well, a couple of weeks later, he goes, all right, Skimmer, come to my office. And lad just got the infantry FAC billet. You are going to TBS. You just got married, and I didn't want to send you on the infantry route. So because you just got married, I'm going to send you guys to Quantico. So I went to Quantico, and who wants to go back? Who wants to be at TBS? Right. That was the funnest 2 years. That was the beautiful thing about the basic school is you're with the ground side cream of the crop.
Yeah.
Because follow-on school, right? You had to get your MOS, you had to do your follow-on school to get promoted. For our level of school, it's there in Quantico. So if you get to the TBS as an instructor, you've got an in to go to your follow-on school, and it just makes you that much competitive. So we had the cream of the crop infantry guys across the board, admin guys, just the officers there, and the enlisted. Same thing for them because the enlisted school is there. So you really have the cream of the crop of the Marine Corps. And you bring us aviators, I don't want to be there, And
Big Mac, fuck it, I got my contract.
That's right. And I went there and had a ball. Initially I start off in the instructor group, the IG. So you're one of the instructors right on the big stage, all the lieutenants in front of you.
Yeah.
And so I'm teaching the air package, and we'd also teach the artillery package. That was a part. We were in the weapons section. You have aviator, heavy machine gun, artillery, and then we taught about Navy. And so that was in the weapons section. And one of our officers was going down to be a staff platoon commander, and they didn't have a heavy machine gun instructor. So Colonel Conway, soon to be Commandant Conway,
sure.
Right? Colonel Conway calls me down to his office, and I think I'm finally a captain in the Marine Corps. He goes, Captain Mechler, got a question for you. what does every Marine Corps officer? I said, well, hell, sir, we all know that. We're an infantry officer first. He said, how do you like to be my heavy machine gun instructor? Cool. Are you serious? I said, yes, sir, I am. I said, I got it. So I was a heavy machine gun instructor. Here this OV-10 guy with Navy wings is teaching the heavy machine gun section. And so a lot of the lieutenants, what is he teaching heavy machine guns for? You know, they were kind of looking at me kind of weird. But yeah, you study, you learn everything about the M60 and the Mark 19. And I was working, so we have the enlisted Marines who are part of the staff, and they set up all my ranges. So I'm working with them, setting up the ranges, and I see them, and we got all the instructor group. We work in the Marines in the offense, Marines in the defense, fire team, squad, company. You know, we're all out there doing all the ground stuff, training. So I was there for 2 years and had an absolute ball. And then we had a combat panel. Mike Etor, one of the guys who I still keep in touch with, he was a senior Marine in the panel, but there were 4 of us. And we talked about our combat experience. So I was a part of that panel. So that was fun to be able to share that knowledge with the lieutenants. But the beautiful thing, and I got spoiled, because from there I went to Meridian, Mississippi as an instructor for 5 years. The beautiful thing about teaching Marines is that these guys, you couldn't teach them enough. You couldn't teach them enough about a weapon system. You couldn't teach them enough about aviation. They wanted to know everything that you knew. And it was just a ball there. And then Cheryl and I got to be together, and we had one kid there, a couple kids in Mississippi. So we did good in the training command.
And when did you get out of the Marine Corps?
I left the Marine Corps in '98 and came to American Airlines.
So when did you get hired? What year, month?
In August of July. I got hired and got hired in July. I got my training date was August of '98.
Yeah, I got hired in September and started in November 16th.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just a little bit behind you.
And we met. When did we first meet? We met before that, didn't we?
Yeah,
I'm thinking, did we meet in the Marine in the training command in Pensacola, or no? Because you're a couple years behind me.
No, I'm a couple years behind you. I got my wings January 18th of '91.
Because I was trying to think.
Because I was in Corpus. I want to say that we met here
at American.
At American, but we met through the Dallas Military Ball. It was when I can't remember the guy's name. He died, and he got me onto the board of directors for the Dallas Military Ball. And so I joined the board, and then I want to say I met you through that or through the Marine Metroplex organization with Mike McCollum.
Yeah, I think it was probably through Mike after that, because we knew each other before you drugged me into the military ball.
Yeah, we did. I don't know how the hell we met. So let's just chalk it up to we know everybody as Marines. It's an insidious circle of incestuous circle of Marines that know everybody and do all the different events and whatnot.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to raise your hand, Marines will, and they'll help out.
That's right.
Well, listen, tell Cheryl I said hey, and thank her for letting me borrow you tonight. I'm going to play this on Tuesday. I've got to go do some flying and take care of them on standards this month.
All right.
This really helps out to have you with me.
It was a lot of fun, Taco. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Listen, hang on for a second. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody, and then I'll talk to you in a second. All right. All right. Hold on a second. Hey, folks, I appreciate those that actually were able to hang on there for an hour and 40 minutes. Thanks so much for joining us with Tall Tales with Taco and Kevin Mechler. If you guys are flying the Airbus and you hear, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Kevin Mechler, your pilot, speaking on behalf of my FO, Mitch Belt. No, because I'm a Boeing guy. Make sure you go up and see Kevin and give him a high five. Until I see you guys next week, adios, hasta luego, auf Wiedersehen, tschüss, shishini, au revoir, dobrogato gozamistando, shinde, kursai, ciao, rivedici, tashikor, assalamu alaikum, mahala, das vidanya, do widzenia. I think I got most of them. You guys have a great one, and we will definitely catch you on another show. It's pretty funny. Those that watched the beginning, my buddy Michael Costanz made that for me. And now there's a third-party app that every time I make a production, they put a copyright claim on my video. And then after that, I have to contest it, and they drop it after 30 days. So screw those guys. I'm going to keep posting Michael's video because we own the rights to it. And if you're a third-party app and you're watching me, go pound sand because I've got the rights to that. So tonight, I'm going to end it with this. You guys have a great one until I see you next week. Adios.